Hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome. If you can hear my sound loud and clear, go ahead in the chat box and type, I am excited to be here. If you can hear me loud and clear on Zoom, on YouTube, on Facebook, go ahead and type in the chat box in the comment section. I am excited to be here. All right. What's up? Please go ahead and share the Zoom link or the YouTube link with somebody that you invited to be here or somebody you think that should be here. Go ahead and share and get them here. Let's begin. Sam. All right, welcome again, everybody, as we cover the final installment of this particular young adult convention that we started the other week. And we had to postpone this particular last day due to some changes in my schedule. And if you're here for the first time and you're wondering, oh, what is Young Adult Convention and what does Mission 30 means and why are you hearing that this is part 4 or day 4 of the program? It is because this has been happening already. And we have had tremendous feedback from the previous days that we have had, and God has been so faithful. And if you're here for the first time, I'm going to share a link in the chat box, and that link is the link to our Next Gen Young Leaders Academy. The training contents and the courses in that academy are targeted to young people who are between the ages of 30 and below. But if you are above that, you can still, go through that. The academy is free. And if you want to get certified as a Next Gen Young Leader, you want to receive a certificate as a young leader in participating in that program, it's simple. All you need to do is make sure you complete the courses in the academy and then send an email to us. Somebody will work with you and ensure that you get a leadership certificate as a young leader in what you do. And you will see the previous episodes or editions of this Leadership Academy in that. Just click it and you'll get access to it. It's free, just your name and your email address, and you will get access into all the courses that are inside in that academy. They will challenge you, they will bless you, and they will make you a better person in what you do. All right. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you're going to see the link in the comment section, or you can see it, or you can click the description section of this video and you will see the link to that program. Okay, awesome. All right, let's get to this and we're good to go. Good morning again, everybody. If you're here, it means you're a person that you love growth and you want to learn things that will transform your life forever. And this is one of those places. All right. In this edition of the Young Adult Convention, we are looking at the big topic Mission 30, right? And the main objective that we were looking at achieving was to begin to show you the blueprints that you can begin to follow that will enable you to develop a voice of influence, impact, leadership before you clock 30. And of course, as I keep saying, even if you are above 30 here, I mean, I got incredible feedback from older people when they attended the other days, that it challenged them and it made them to start seeing areas that they can begin to make some serious corrections as far as their lives are concerned, careers, businesses, leadership, and what have you. In this particular episode for today, I want to train on what I'm calling the secret combination codes to stand out in your generation. Now, these codes, there are about 30 of them that I have curated. And you see, by God's grace, I have been exposed to so many incredible people, both men and women across different sectors of life, different levels of life, and different communities, different nations. And one of those exposures that I'm always grateful for was the exposure to be among some incredibly bright people, right? Like, for example, there is this US program that they do known as the YALI program, or the Young Leaders, the Young African Leaders Initiative. And part of that program is that the US government selects some of the smartest, impactful, influential young people from across Africa below the age of 35 and below, and then they bring them to the United States for some few weeks and they train them. And I was part of that selection some years ago. And another program I was part of was what the Obama Foundation program, done by President Obama's foundation. And that program gave me access to have kind of like a Zoom session with the President Obama at the time. And so I have been in rooms where they create programs, and the purpose of that program is that they select particular young people, and the main age group in that selection is always 35 and below, 30 and below, and so on. And one of the things that I used to do and I still do is that when I come across somebody who has been able to do incredible stuff at a particular age, I try to talk to them. I try to ask questions. I try to understand, what they did, what they're doing that makes them to be where they are, at this particular young age. Because I just love to understand systems and processes. I love to understand patterns. I love to understand behaviors and habits that makes people who they are, right? And what I'm going to share today is what I'm now calling the secret combination codes to stand out in your generation. At the moment, I have curated 30 of them, and I'm still curating. The more I do more research, the more I read books, the more I come across materials about people that started doing incredible things in their 20s, in their late 20s, mid 20s, early 20s, early 30s. I just like to understand what made you to stand out, at that young age. Because when you see somebody standing out and doing something tremendous at a particular age, there is something they know, there is something they're doing that other young people are not doing, right? And that is definitely a good thing to begin to understand. And I have been asked the same question many times. There's even a Nigerian guy wrote a book, and a chapter in that book is dedicated to me. And that book was partly sponsored by the US government, and so on. And because by God's grace, before I clocked 30, I had started traveling nations and continents and doing tremendous things in what I was doing and I'm still doing. And I always say that I know the year that there was a shift in my life, and that year was 2012. All right. And it means that, and that shift literally means that there are some things that I started doing that I was not doing before that. And there is something known as the compounding effect of character, the compounding effect of habits, the compounding effect of learning, the compounding effect of growing in certain dimensions. And when you begin to compound certain things, they have the ability to contribute greatly to your becoming and to what you can begin to create as a person in this life. And I strongly believe that if you listen to me and pay the price, right? Pay the price to execute, to practice, to make sure that you bring these things into your life, you are going to play a major role in whatever you do in your nation, in your continent, in your generation, in your industry, or what have you. I may not have the time to share all the 30 findings I have at the moment, but I'm going to do my best to talk about them as much as possible. Please get your notebooks and please listen with the intention of applying. Listen with the intention of integrating what you hear into your life. All right. It will definitely help you a lot in what you do. Okay. Awesome. Now, I'm going to talk about these, and I'll do my best to give examples as much as possible in a way that you can relate to it as a young person in what you do. All right. And I strongly believe that, you see, if you're going to stand out in your generation, there are some things that must be in your life that makes you stand out, right? So if you are struggling to stand out and you discover that you are the same like everybody else around you, like I always tell you guys, for those who are like mentees or you have been, or you're any member of my other communities, I always say that you cannot do the same thing like everybody else in your community, in your generation, and expect to lead that generation, right? If you want to lead a generation, you want to lead a community, you want to stand out so that others can run to you for counsel, for advice, for wisdom, for solutions, or whatever, all of those kind of things. One of the easiest ways to be that kind of person is You can be in the same community, but make sure you don't do what they're doing. Right? Like I always fondly say, you cannot consume social media at the same level of volume like an average young person and expect to lead the same generation. No, you're going to think like them because the same content they are consuming, you are consuming the same content. And if I consume the same thing and you consume the same thing, we are going to almost behave the same way. Right? So it's the same. I was telling a young guy, I said, look, if you want to do the things I did that I was doing when in my early 20s before I was 25, one of the things you have to start doing is go and read and consume the information I consume at the age of 20. For example, I read the book The Power of Positive Thinking by Vincent Norman, I think at the age of 19. Right? And there are books and things I began to consume at that particular age that began to reframe the way I see life and the way I face life. You get a point? So it is important to begin to look at life from that perspective. All right. What is the first thing that you should do if you're going to stand out in your generation? Please, they are not in any order. They are not in, any special order. I am just going to communicate them and talk about them as, the way I documented them, and I'm still documenting them. Number one is, which is actually one of my favorites, is have all they have, but do not do what they do. That means have all they can have, but do not do what they do. That's number one. If you're going to stand out in your generation, you can have what other people in your age group have, but do not do what they do. For example, in this generation, almost everybody has a mobile phone, right? Especially people in semi-urban areas, urban areas, and big cities, and so on, right? But you see, you can have a phone like everybody else in your generation, but you refuse to use your mobile phone to consume pornography. You get a perspective, right? Or when you start making money as a young guy, have all the money like your other fellow guys have, but do not chase after girls. There are many of us listening to me that if this is the one thing that you can begin to apply from today, you begin to see how you're standing out in your generation. Right? You can have access to all the resources, the equipment, the materials, what have you, but there is a way that you are disciplining yourself to make sure that you don't behave the way they behave. You don't do what they do. And when that begins to happen, your generation will respect you for life. You see that? And that's why I always say that it is good to master acquisition. But you see, don't surrender your behavior or don't behave like the average person in your generation. For example, master the acquisition of money, master the acquisition of knowledge, master the acquisition of things that are important for destiny. But make sure that your behavioral patterns are different from those people in your generation. It's going to make you different and make you stand out. That's why, as a young person, if you're going to rise and be a voice as you clock 30 or before your 30th birthday, or even as you grow older, one of the things that you have to create and protect is your private standards. What are your private standards? What are those standards that you live by that is only between you and God? What are your private standards? If your private standards do not exceed popular culture, I am telling you, you will hardly be a voice in your generation. Let me say it again. If your private standards do not exceed popular culture around you, Forget about being a voice in your generation. Many people are being kept in the same place because popular culture is defining them. What is popular in your community, in your nation, you're part of it. That doesn't make you a voice. So instead of you shaping culture, popular culture is shaping you. And you see, popular culture will easily shape anybody who does not have any private standards. If it's popular to drink alcohol as a sign that you're becoming a man, so when you celebrate your 20th birthday, you do it in a bar or in a nightclub and you drink all the alcohol you can find. You see, you are being shaped by popular culture. Because all the guys at your age of 25 and 26, they are proving that they are becoming men by the number of girls that they are able to influence and maybe sleep with. You're not being influenced by that popular culture because you don't have private standards regarding your sex life. You see that? So, one price you have to pay if you're going to stand out in your generation is have all they have, but pay the price and make sure you do not do what they do. And you need to begin to sit with yourself and challenge yourself. What are the private standards that I need to establish for myself? These standards can be standards regarding your study life, your prayer life, your money life, your sex life. What are those private standards that are so powerful internally that exceed the external popular culture that you are surrounded by it? You see, one older man observed me in Kumbu at the time in Kumbu, and he said, the way you think and the way you talk and the way you talk about where you're going to, it does not look like you are from this same community. You see, that was because of what was defining me on the inside, the internal structures I was living by. I was living in the same Kumbu, right? But for example, at the time, let's say in 2013, 14, 15, one thing I did so crazy was that I was reading a lot of books. Sometimes at the time, I was just so pumped up and passionate that many times I'll go to bed at 11 p.m. and I wake up at 2 a.m. and I will read from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. When I come back from the work I was doing at the time, I was just read from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. I was just reading, and what I was consuming was redefining my internal system in a way that even me, I was not understanding it. Or I was not seeing it per se. You see, but on the external, when I go out and I meet other people, I may not be able to sound the way they are sounding, not because I was doing something super different, but because there was something internally or something I was consuming that was redefining my private standards and my private perspectives that was literally setting me apart regarding the environment where I was at the time. All right, so if you're going to stand out in your generation, have what they have, but don't do what they do. Number two, this is very important. Number two, if you are going to stand out in your generation and be a voice of influence and lead people, understand that if you stand tall in what defeats others, you're going to stand out. And they will run after you. If you stand tall in what defeats others, you're going to stand out, right? For example, we as a people, and this cuts across different, communities. If you go to every community, you're going to find that there is something that defeats average people in that community, right? In, let's say, like in Cameroon, majority of the people here right now, Cameroon, Nigeria, and so on, right, is poor governance, right? And as a result of poor governments and poor policy execution and governance and things like that, there is so much high unemployment or underemployment. And many people don't have the mindset to create, they have the mindset to consume or to look for jobs, right? And that is one thing that defeats a lot of people. Now, another thing, let me talk about relationships. An average young guy, young girl between in the early 20s or maybe mid 20s, you get to hear stories. I read another sad story today of a bricklayer, I think in Cameroon, who committed suicide because he found his girlfriend cheating on him, right? Those are the kind of things that defeat people. Some people is the families that they were born into. There are many guys right now that they have bright destinies ahead of them. But when they look at the family where they're coming from, just the nature of their family defeats them, right? So if you are the kind of person that you begin to pay the price to stand tall in what defeats others, you're going to stand out in your generation. You pay the price to stand tall. You pay the price to operate from a higher frequency. You pay the price to rise where others are falling. You pay the price to stand firm where others break. You pay the price to make sure that you display strength and wisdom where others are displaying foolishness and ignorance. You pay the price to do that. Where others are failing emotionally, you pay the price to develop emotional intelligence, emotional regulation, where others by default, they're either reacting or they're collapsing, talking about people that do foolish and stupid things because somebody said the relationship is over, right? So you need to begin to look at yourself. For many of us listening to me right now, there are some things right now that they're trying to defeat you. And the same thing defeated people before you. The same thing defeated, or the same thing right now is currently defeating your age mates right now. If you identify those things and make up your mind, this thing, you cannot defeat me, and begin to pay the price to rise in strength and wisdom to defeat that which defeats others, you're going to stand out in your generation. Because one of the things that makes people to stay average is that they allow many things in life to defeat them. For some people, it's rejection. Rejection defeats people. For some people, it's delay. They're trying to do this. They're experiencing delays or stagnation. They're trying to build a business. It keeps on experiencing stagnation. They're trying to go to another country. They keep experiencing delays and rejection. Right? All of these things, defeat people. Most ambitions die in these areas. But when you begin to pay the price to build that resilience, that cognitive endurance, you begin to pay the price to build the knowledge, you begin to pay the price to do things that an average young person is not willing to do. I am telling you, you're going to stand tall and defeat what defeated others and become a voice in your generation. You need to pay the price to do that. That's why I always say that if you're going to go far in life, please learn to live by principles and not by how you feel. Stop living according to how you feel. People who live according to feelings and mood swings, they never go far in life. You're either a principled person or you are an emotional person. So what is currently defeating you right now? Can you face it and stand tall before it? You see, years ago, there were some things I did. I always said that one of the things that made me to do those things, I strongly believe it was God leading me, not because I did not have exposure and a level of knowledge and understanding of life the way I do now. But you see, I was raised up in a very humble family, right? And at best, my mother could see me through high school. The kind of, when I was going to high school, I already knew I was not going to go to the university per se as a result of maybe my mother sponsoring me, except a miracle happened. I already knew. So the best that was going to happen was that try and get advanced level. But you see, when I was about finishing advanced level, I just knew that there was something I had to do. So while I was still in high school, I started working in building construction sites to try to raise some money. I started doing car wash. I worked as an Okada guy. I did all kind of odd jobs in the city of Bamenda. I sold petrol. I sold okika in the food market. I did crazy things, right? And that was my own way of standing tall to poverty that defeats other people. There are many people that did not go to school because poverty defeated them, because the family where they were born into defeated them. We all have different things that's life. Life, there are many things that will are going to stand before you as far as life is concerned, and the purpose of those things will be to defeat you. I'm telling you, every day of your life till you die, there will always be something standing before you, and the purpose of that thing is to defeat you. Guess what? Majority of the human race fall before that thing. They allow themselves to be defeated by that thing. If you are currently, if you can currently identify at least one thing right now standing before you, trying to defeat you, type I relate in the chat box and in the comment section. There is no human being, even Dangote right now. If you meet Dangote right now and you begin to talk to him, there will be something right now in his life that is trying to defeat him. But you see, people that rise in destiny, people that stay at the top in destiny, people that remain in the place of influence and impact, they make up their mind. I am going to stand tall before you, that is ordained by the contrary forces of life to defeat me. So you have to go after it. You have to go towards it. The only way to stand tall before what is ordained or designed to defeat you is to go towards it. Don't stand still. No, go towards it. For example, if let's say you are listening to me, you have applied to leave the country and go to the UK, to Europe, or to North America, and you are rejected, 2 times, do it again. The only way you can stand tall against that defeat, against that barrier, do it again. You are in your fourth business and it failed already. Start another one. Do it again. Do it again. That's the only way that you can stand tall in what defeats other people. The moment you start having thought of giving up and not trying again, that thing is already defeating you. Number 3, what is the third code that you need to practice if you're going to stand out in your generation? Pay the price to know what they do not want to pay the price to know. Pay the price to know what they do not want to pay the price to know. Listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully, people. If you pay the price and know what they do not know, that generation will run after you. If you pay the price and know what they do not know, that generation will run after you. And I'm using the word pay the price because it takes a lot of sacrifice. Like I always fondly say, you see, it is more fun and more easy to sit on Netflix and watch movies, right? But it's not fun to read for 4 hours. It's not fun to study, research, analyze, synthesize, diagnose, just begin to ask questions and just do that boring thing. It's not fun. And that's why majority of the human race is not consistently arising or growing to what they have been called to become. Why? Because many people are not paying the price to know what they are supposed to know. Do you know that if you want to become a voice in your industry right now, if you just pay the price and just be consistent that every day for the next 7 years, 10 years, 5 years, you're going to study about that industry just 3 hours every day, 2 hours every day, even 1 hour every day. If you maintain the consistency of that knowledge acquisition and understanding of what you're doing, there's a high chance that you're going to be a global expert in that field. But you see, the challenge is maintaining that consistency and not breaking it for long. That's why I'm talking about paying the price. And majority of people, they don't want to pay the price. That's why when you go across every industry, the top 1% always a small number of people. Why? Because only a small number of people go the extra mile, pay the price to begin to know what others are not willing to know. I've had the chance to provide a lot of counsel to people who are either about to start their first degree programs or their master's degree. And I'll tell them, I hope you did not choose a topic or an area that is simple. That is that is where many people start failing in their career. They're choosing, what they're going to read in a university or in their master's degree. They're choosing what is simple. No, if you're wise, choose what is hardest. Choose the topic or the areas where most people are running away from it. That is what you should study. Even if it means repeating the year, do it again. Because when your ability to do what is hardest while others are doing what is easy will always make you stand out in life. Let me say it again. If you have the mindset and the ability to do what is hardest, because there's a high chance that if there are 100 people on this call right now, there's a high chance that 98 will always choose what is easy. Very few people will intentionally look for what is hard and pursue it. I'm telling you, if you begin to understand and see, for older people, this is understandable. But at the young age, if you're in your 20s, pay the price to know and do the hardest things now. It's one of the best things you can do in life. It helped me a lot because there are many places I've gone to, so many rooms and events, and they'll be giving this assignments, activities, and tasks. And they will start by saying that it's too difficult, it's so hard, and all of that. So I am expecting to hear something super hard. And then when they give the assignment or the task, I'm like, wait, is this what you said was hard? Because these experts know. They know what an average young person considers difficult. This is why in my private time, I like to do hard things. I like to, you know, sometimes I just challenge myself and see if I can read nonstop for 7 hours. I just try to do hard things, just read hard topics, basic. So when I go to normal meetings, normal working environments, and what others consider hard is too basic for me. I'm like, wait, this is what you think is hard? Then I can imagine what you do in your private. So you have to pay the price if you're going to stand out consistently and grow. Begin, when they are chasing what is easy, begin to chase what is hardest. When they're chasing what is less complicated, begin to put your mind to more complicated things. Understand the complicated things. That is what will make you a voice. When they fill their minds with entertainment, that's what everybody's doing right now. Many people wind down in the evening by watching a movie. Must you do that? Who told you that the best way to wind down is to watch a movie? Not you know watching a movie, but you can watch a movie maybe for 1 hour, and then you make up your mind, you know what? For the next 2 hours before I go to bed, I'm going to do this. So while they fill their minds with entertainment, begin to fill your mind with knowledge. Guess what? It has been proven over and over. People that fill their minds with entertainment always run after people that fill their minds with knowledge and wisdom. And guess what? Every generation will always require a guide. Every industry requires a guide. Every nation requires a guide. If you pay the price to know what they are not willing to know, they will run after you as their guide. I was talking to my mentees one time and I challenged them and I said, look, avoid reading a lot of summaries and commentaries. Avoid consuming a lot of social media articles. Most of them are written by people that have low language power, low mental intelligence. If you read more, if you are somebody here and you read only a lot of social media articles, I guarantee you, you're not going to grow. You're not going to grow. You need to focus on reading what I call primary sources of information. Read relevant books, read research articles, read thought leaders articles by people that, like I always say, sometimes when I'm looking for what to read, I always have a benchmark. If the writer of a book or the article, if you don't have at least a master's degree, I am not reading your material. It's a person, I know why I do that. You see, so you challenge yourself. You challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to build competence in complexity. When others are running away from complexity, oh, it's too complex, it's too difficult, it's too challenging. Oh, I love it. Bring it to me. You build competence in complexity. Guess what? If you're somebody who studies life, you're going to understand one thing about life is that, complexity and difficulty filters out on serious people. See, you want to filter on serious people in your life, just make your life a bit difficult. You're going to, so many people are going to leave you, right? There was a time I was doing that a lot. Friends come together and say, you know what, let's pray. The next time, you know what, I was reading this book. I'm going to read a statement. Let us discuss on this statement. Many of my friends that we used to hang out together, they stopped coming around me because they thought that I was making I was too serious with life. Life was too difficult. My life was too difficult. You see, because difficulty, complexity filters out on serious competition. You want to be a step ahead in your industry as a professional, just begin to master complexity. Just begin to focus on what is difficult and leave the easy things to other people. Like I always say, it's funny, there was a time in Cameroon that I was one of the most highly sought after young speakers, highly paid also at the time. And it is my generation that made public speaking and, this speaking business and training business very popular among the younger generation in the country. If there are current speakers in Cameroon right now, let's say there are 100 of them, there's a high chance that 98 have gone through my trainings, right? In 2017, I made a decision and I said that I will stop speaking on topics like purpose, passion, basic things. Because I noticed that public speaking was becoming popular and training was becoming popular among the young people. And I noticed that that was the easiest topic that anybody could talk about. So I made up my mind. It was a private, I did not announce it, but I just made up my mind that there are some things I will not talk about again. And the same time I made that decision, I began to pay the price to study and become an expert in things that I know that an average person would not like to study. And it's one of the best career moves I ever made as a young public speaker in Cameroon and in Africa. You see that? Because when you begin to pay the price to master difficulty, complexity, and some things in your industry, you just, it's as if you operate in your own class. Unserious competition cannot catch you. When you begin to pay the price to invest in unpopular skills, you see, because scarcity increases strategic bargaining power. And guess what? It was after that I was able to start charging £1,000,000 and £1,000,000 plus to speak for 1 hour and to train for 1 hour in some programs and some organizations. You know why? Because I began to gain some skills and some level of knowledge in some areas that there were very few people that could speak and train and consult around those kind of areas. Why? Because scarcity of expertise. When you possess the expertise, it increases what we call in business strategic bargaining power. But you see, if you run away from the complexity, you run away from paying the price to understand the hard things and the difficult things, you will be like everybody else and you cannot stand out. That's why I keep saying there are many young people that you see, this is the entertainment generation, social media generation, distraction generation. And if you don't pay the price to begin to replace entertainment with intellectual conditioning and development, you're going to just be down there like everybody else. But inside of you, you know you are called to be more. But you are not that more because what is conditioning you is entertainment instead of intellectual conditioning. And you cannot bypass it. Desire is not enough in the journey of destiny. If you're here and you know inside of you that you are supposed to be more in this life. You're supposed to be different. There's something more you're supposed to bring into the lives of people, but you are not seeing the manifestation of that yet. Type me in the chat box. Type me in the chat box. Type me in the chat box. Simple. Now, go back to what is conditioning you. You will see why the desire is there, but the manifestation seems to be far from you. Just go to what is conditioning you. Are you being conditioned by, passive entertainment, or are you being conditioned by disciplined intellectual, conditioning? Because you cannot give out what you don't have. You cannot. Right? So you need to begin to pay the extra price to begin to use the right material and take the right steps that can condition you to be different. Number four, what is the fourth thing that you can do to stand out in your generation? Develop the self-discipline to go through pain and discomfort and do what they are too lazy to do. Develop the self-discipline. And the key thing here is self-discipline, to go through the pain, the discomfort, and do what they are too lazy to do. You see, many people know what to do. Many people know what to do. but few people have mustered the self-discipline. Few people have developed the self-discipline to go through the discomfort of doing what they are supposed to do. Few people have developed or are developing the self-discipline to convert discomfort into a weapon. Many things are going to happen in your life that are discomfortable. They are not comfortable. Very, very full of discomfort, right? And if you are going to stand out in your generation, you must learn how to convert discomfort into a weapon. You cannot dominate a generation if you don't understand, okay, the current situation is there's so much discomfort right now in my life. All right. How can I use this discomfort? For example, lack of money is discomfort. But you see, there is something that discomfort can give you. It can give you time. It can make you restless. How can you convert that into a weapon? You see that? And when you have this mindset, you will not fall into the class of people that are always chasing after comfort and they run away from pain. Listen to me. It has been proven over and over that discomfort makes kings and comfort creates slaves. Do you know that if your life is too comfortable, you're going to end up failing in life? Because there'll be nothing that will challenge you and motivate you to do what you have never done before. The best way to explain this is for Christians, like those who are believers. If you want to know that a Christian can pray, wait, let a situation comes into your life. Let a problem lands upon their life. The same Christian who struggle to pray for 30 minutes every day, that same Christian will be able to do 30 midnight prayers. They're going to use that comfort and they are going to be able to do what they cannot do when they are comfortable. That's why wise people always have big goals they're chasing. See, wise people don't chase comfort. Wise people create discomfort for themselves because they understand that their highest level of potentials, their highest level of manifestation begins to show when they are experiencing discomfort or when they're chasing something that makes them uncomfortable. That's why when you study the journey of many billionaires and politicians, they set very big goals that challenge them a lot. Live like that. It's going to help you. If there is nothing that is making you uncomfortable, nothing that is making you to experience some challenges, not painful challenges per se, but something that just challenges you, you are never going to manifest the fullness of your destiny. That's why people that are looking only for money hardly manifest their greatest destiny. Do you know that? If your biggest problem is, I want to make money and stop suffering in life and be able to pay my bills, you will never live the fullness of your destiny. But if you're the kind of person and you make up your mind that, you know what, there are 50 million young people in Africa, and the destiny of those young people are at risk. If I don't do this and do that, and you make up your mind, in the next 50 years, I have a target of 1 million young people to impact every year. Kind of goal, that kind of what they call a big heart, big hairy goal, and different things, these will put you in a place where you're chasing something bigger than money. And you're going to be able to do things that you never thought you could do because there's a bigger goal and you are overcoming discomfort and challenges and difficulties on a daily basis. Discomfort builds kings. Comfort creates slaves. And let me tell you one thing about this point on building self-discipline to go through pain, discomfort, and doing what others are too lazy to do. Let me tell you one thing that is very important that you have to make sure is part and parcel of your understanding. Please, please build the tolerance for repetitive tasks. If you don't have the tolerance to do the same boring thing every day for 10 years, you are not ready to be a voice in your generation. Listen to me. Mastery hides inside monotony. If you are not comfortable, let me go back. This is a Christian community. For example, the Bible is the same year in, year out. 10,000 years after, the Bible is the same. The word of God will never change. If you don't build high level tolerance to repeatedly read the Bible every day, forget about spiritual maturity and operating in spiritual power. And spiritual mastery hides inside monotony of reading the Bible. But the difference is you read with the Holy Spirit, and what you did not see 2 years ago, He gives you revelation. He opens your understanding, quickens your understanding, and you see it differently. The secret of spirituality is monotony in key things that make spiritual people. It's the same in career. It's the same in business. It's the same even in marriage. It's the same. If you're in marriage and you don't understand how to say I love you too many times a day for the next 30 years, you are not ready to be a husband and wife. It's the same thing, but the effects are different every time it is done. And that's why self-discipline is non-negotiable for you as a young person. And let me tell you, master it now. There are many older people right now struggling with self-discipline because they don't have the muscle. It's a muscle. They don't have it. You see, these combinations must be in your life if you're going to stand out in your generation as a young person. All right. Number 5, is this blessing you? Is this challenging you? Give me some feedback. Give me some feedback. Is this making sense to you? All right. The fit code, I have 30 of these, but there's already a chance that I will not talk about all of this, but let's see how it goes. The fit thing that I strongly believe that people who stand out in their generation, they should be able to master is you can master what your generation master, but do not let their weakness become your chain. You can master what they master, but don't let their weaknesses become your chains, right? Now, and the weakness I'm talking about here is you can also use the word temptations, right? Do not allow the temptations of your generation to become your chains. Do not allow, the iniquity, another word, the iniquity, the sinful lifestyle of your generation to become your chains, right? Because it has been proven that the one who can withstand temptation, the one who can withstand the temptation that rules a generation, that one will always stand out and others will run to you. Listen to me carefully. Discipline, paying the price of discipline is the price of dominion. You see, that's why one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. Self-control is the price of dominion. If you can begin to stand firm where they compromise, you're going to stand out. But if you begin to compromise where your generation is compromising, it starts like where you work. If others are stealing money from the office or stealing office equipment for their private use, you see, you all can master the same work. That's why I said master what they master, but don't let their weakness, don't let their iniquity, don't let their temptation become your chains. So you are in the same office and you have the same skills like your fellow colleagues. So you have mastered what they mastered. So be good at what you do, but bring something different. Be more in that office. You're going to see a weakness. You're going to see, iniquity. You're going to see unrighteousness. You're going to see temptations. So pay the price to make sure that those temptations, those weaknesses don't become your own chains. Because the moment you master what they master and their weakness are your weakness, their weakness has also become your chains, you will never lead that generation. If you compromise where they compromise, you will never stand out and lead that generation. So what am I saying? Pay the price to acquire the skills, but don't inherit the destructive habits that keeps them in chain. Refuse to allow what you can call, societal addictions, cultural addictions that is common around you. Don't allow the addictions to become your own chains. You see that? Don't let it keep you in the same bondage. You see? And that's why self-control is important. Listen to me carefully. If you have the ability to possess and you don't have the ability of self-control, it's a curse in disguise. That's why for many people, money that was supposed to be a blessing to their marriage, the money became a curse to the same marriage. Because they thought that they were, practicing fidelity, but they were just too poor to sponsor their unrighteous activities. So money now came, they possessed money, and because the possession of money was without self-control and maturity, instead of the money becoming a blessing to the guy or to the lady and to the marriage, it became a curse in disguise. You see that? So you need to pay the price to make sure that some things should not roll over you. Listen to me. Listen to me. Be in an environment where it is normal. It is okay for you to see certain habits and lifestyle ruling other people, but make up your mind, it is not okay for it to rule me. It is not okay for this to rule me. Since it is okay for them, for these particular habits to rule them, no problem. That's their life. But as far as I am concerned, it is not okay for this particular character, this particular habit, this particular temptation. It is not okay for this temptation, this iniquity to rule over me. It is not okay. And you see, every environment has a prevailing iniquity. Every environment has a prevailing temptation. And if you are going to stand out in your generation, and every generation has the same, there's a prevailing iniquity and temptation for every generation. And if you are going to be a voice and be a leader in that generation, you have to pay the price to make sure that the prevailing iniquity and temptation of that generation does not roll over you. And let me tell you, There are some things that you may need to stay away from that will make you look as if you're backward. It will make you look as if you're uncivilized. But give yourself time. The same people that thought that you are not en vogue or you are uncivilized, the same people run after you for what you possess. You know why? Because when you overcome certain temptations, when you overcome certain iniquities, there is a dimension of grace that is entrusted to you. There's a dimension of wisdom. There are many things that are entrusted to you, not because you are too intelligent, but because you have paid the price to live in alignment with the righteousness of God. At the time that you'll be doing that, it will not be fun. But if you're somebody who thinks long term, you're going to pay the price to do that, and it will be a blessing to you. Number six. Number six. Delayed gratification. Delayed gratification. Delayed gratification. This is almost like the previous point I just explained, but it's a bit different. Delayed gratification is simply you being in a place where, as a person, you make up your mind that you're going to tame, like they tame a dog, they tame a horse. You begin to tame what enslaves people. As simple as that. For example, we are in a social media generation, and the younger generation, we are in a generation where people can do a lot of things just for the sake of getting likes and getting popular on social media and being social media influencers, right? And there are many things that are currently enslaving people. So if you pay the price to begin to tame what enslave other people, you're going to stand out in your generation. In other words, if you can control what others crave for without control, you will always be a voice. Right? For example, you can be in a community where the young people are craving for drugs, hard drugs, or they are craving for sexual partners. They are craving different things that people crave for. And those cravings enslave them. But you see, if you allow the same cravings that enslave them to enslave you, you cannot be a king. You cannot be a voice of influence. So if you're going to stand out, you need to begin to pay the price to train yourself to delay gratification, to train yourself to tame what enslaves, to train yourself to tame what enslaves other people. You see? And guess what? If you're somebody who, if you do research work in marketing, you do research work in advertising, you're going to begin to understand that if there is one thing that companies pay the price to research about, to understand, is your cravings. There is something in marketing and advertising known as persuasion mechanics. So companies and experts, they study persuasion mechanics. And what are they trying to find out? They're trying to understand what you crave for. And they begin to create things. That's why social media is so addictive, because they keep refining it and they keep designing it to be more addictive to the people that use it. So they study your persuasion mechanics. They understand how your cravings work. That's why every like, every comment, everything that you watch, they collect every single data point that you do on social media, and they study what persuades you. They study and they understand your cravings and they push it to you. And if you don't have the understanding and the wisdom to begin to tame that particular craving, it will enslave you. And when you are enslaved by the wrong cravings, you will not mature to be a voice of influence. And when you don't have that maturity, you cannot lead a generation, even though you know that or you desire to be more in your own generation. You see that? There is somebody listening to me right now. There is a craving right now that is enslaving you. For some people, it's food. For some people, it's just different things that you have become a slave to. Some people, it's their mobile phone. You see that? And that's why one thing that you must learn how to do is that people around you can be chasing pleasure. You pay the price to chase discipline. Am I saying you should not have pleasure? No, do have pleasure. But you see, pleasure with wisdom, pleasure with boundaries, pleasure with structure will make you a better person. It will make you a better person. Like I always say, you see, I love movies, especially intelligence movies, war-driven movies, you know, those are my kind of movies. I love movies. When I came across Prison Break in 2010 or so, I watched it for 2 nights without sleeping, without eating. That's how much I loved movies, right? So I was chasing pleasure and all of that. But I still love movies. I still love to watch movies, right? But now I do it with structure. My current structure is that I have goals I set to achieve, things I study every 3 months. And so I kind of I watch movies once every 3 months per se, right? So that's my own structure that works for me. So meanwhile, there's somebody at my age that is watching movie every day. Nothing wrong with that. That's their life, right? But the difference is that somebody is chasing pleasure and somebody is chasing discipline. And guess what? You cannot convert pleasure into influence. You cannot convert pleasure into wealth, except in entertainment, anyways. But you see, if you discipline yourself and do some things consistently for 7 years or 10 years, those things have the capacity to be converted into wealth and prosperity if you know what you're doing. I always say that there are two types of people. There are people that burn their time, and there are people that build their time. Are you burning your time or are you building your time? If you're chasing too much pleasure with your time without boundaries and structure, you are burning your time. If you're chasing discipline with your time and focusing on the right things, you are building your time. So you're either chasing time, you're either burning time or you're building time. For example, uh, we have been here for almost 1 hour, 30 minutes, right? This is 1 hour, 30 minutes of building your time. You see, that's why we have to pay the price to make sure that we don't lose control to pleasure. Many of us have lost control to pleasure. There are many of us that you, how do I put this? Pleasure is in charge of your destiny. You can easily scroll on your phone and forget and do it for the whole 1 hour, and you forget that you are supposed to do something. You have lost control to pleasure. But you have to master control, because that is what is going to bring you wealth if you focus on what matters. The last point for today is do not seek escapism. Avoid escapism. If you're going to stand out in your generation, avoid escapism. You see, many people easily seek escapism. For example, an average person, if they start a job, for example, and in the first few days, they see that they have a difficult boss, an average lazy person will start thinking of how to leave that job. You are suffering from always seeking escapism. Many people have done this in the university. They choose a program. In the first 2 weeks of the program, the first few courses they are introduced to, they think that it's too difficult. They now begin to look for a more easier course in the same faculty. They have trained themselves to seek escapism. They're always seeking to escape from things. If you have that character, any little discomfort, you're looking for the escape route. Every little challenge, the escape route. You don't pay the price. You don't challenge yourself. You don't push yourself to go beyond that immediate difficulty you just experienced. You will never rise. You cannot keep seeking escapism, seeking ways to escape and expect to rise in a generation. And nothing weakens your mind like escapism. If you have the constant habit of always escaping, always escaping, always escaping, the more you do that, you are weakening your mind. The same as somebody who understands that the first sign of discomfort doesn't mean I should run. The first sign of difficulty doesn't mean I should run. And if you train your mind to go towards the discomfort and the difficulty, you're going to sharpen your mind. You're going to sharpen your mastery. You're going to sharpen your vision. Be careful of the attitude of escapism. At the slightest difficulty, you're gone. You cannot rise like that. You cannot rise like that. And one way to avoid this attitude of escapism, especially when you fail, is that train yourself to convert failure into curriculum. It's a habit. You see, there are two types of people. There are people that when they fail at something, they run, they escape. There are some that when they fail at something, they convert that failure and the journey into that failure into curriculum. But escapees or people that practice this attitude of escapism, they just convert failure into denial. Oh, it's too difficult. Nobody can do it. My God, it's so hard. Be careful of anybody around you who tells you that things are hard. That is not a good friend. It's an enemy of your progress. It is hard for you. Don't generalize that it is hard. All right? So avoid having the attitude of seeking to escape at the slightest challenge, at the slightest difficulty, at the slightest complexity, at the slightest failure, at the slightest character misbehavior of somebody who is either your boss or your colleague or whoever. You're always escaping from things like that, and you're seeking for ways where it is easy, it is comfortable. That's why your life is where it is. But show me somebody who understands that whatever comes my way, escaping is the last option. I am going to advance towards this until the reality changes for me. It will make you a better person. It will make you a better person. All right. So work on these points. I believe that these alone, let me ask a question. If some of these points are things that you know that you are struggling with and they're really, really related to you, can you type change in the chat box? Type change in the chat box. If I said things that you know that these are things I am struggling with, and you see, the purpose is not to point out your struggles. The purpose is not to make you condemn yourself. No, the purpose of this is to show you that, look, this is not working and this cannot work. This is what is going to work for you and make you better. So the purpose is to bring you to the place of repentance, to the place of making a U-turn so that you can begin to change and contribute to building the life that you're supposed to build so you can live the life you're supposed to live here on earth. All right, I'm happy to see that it impacted you and it played a big role in your life. Like I always say, hope is hopeless without action. So please take some steps, take some action, execute this. These are the kind of teachings that when you listen, they should be able to change some routine in your life, some habits, some things that you currently do, and you are able to start doing things that you were not doing before as a result of what you just heard. All right, people, that is it for this edition of the Young Adult Convention and the things that I wanted to cover. That was for the February edition. There's a chance that we are going to do the Young Adults Convention, Young Leaders, Summit, all of those kind of things in the month of May. I'm going to announce, but I'm still checking to see how that goes because there are many other areas I want to cover. And the aim is to make sure that we serve the young adults in our community with wisdom and insight, ideas and revelation that can play a big role in who they are becoming. All right, people, that is it for today. Take care of yourselves. God bless you.